Hey there, Sharice here from Pieces Calligraphy, bringing you another video in my YouTober challenge where I'm bringing you a new video every single day for the whole month of October. Now today is day 17, and for today I'm continuing on the mini series that I started on practicing the alphabet in a different way. Instead of going from A to Z, we're actually doing groups of letters that are similar based on their basic strokes. Now be sure to catch up if you've missed the other days in this mini series and also all the other days in the YouTober challenge. I have a playlist going, so I'll leave links down below to at least the mini series so you can catch up and see all of the letters that we've done so far. Now for today, we're going to be practicing ascenders and descenders. While they are different because obviously one stroke goes above the waistline and the other one goes below the baseline, they're pretty similar in that we're going to be using our whole arm movement, especially if you're using larger pens. But in general, these strokes are much larger than those that we've been practicing so far, the oval, the compound curve, underturn, and overturn. So keep on watching and we're going to go over letters that have ascenders and descenders, and I'll break them down for you stroke by stroke. Okay, so we have the same setup that I've been using for the previous videos here. I'll leave links down below to all of these supplies. Let's go over really quickly what the ascending stem loop looks like, and then we'll do the descending stem loop, and then we'll go into the letters. The ascending stem loop starts a little bit above the X height here, our waistline. So I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to form a loop. I'm going in a counterclockwise direction, and then after I curve around, I'm going to slowly add pressure until I end with full pressure at the baseline. So you can see that I tapered off here. I didn't go immediately into full pressure. I gradually added that pressure, and then we get this shade that's really thick around the X height. And then the descending stem loop is the opposite. I'm going to start off with full pressure, and I'm pulling down with my whole arm. Then I'm going to start releasing the pressure so that it tapers off, and then I finish with a loop. Okay, and as another review, the full pressure stroke is simply putting full pressure and then using your hand, your whole arm, to pull down with your hand and grip on the pen in the same motion. So I'm pulling down, and then I maintain that full pressure throughout the entire stroke. All right, the first letter I'm going to go over is the letter H. So the H starts off with an entrance stroke, and then we use that ascending stem loop that we just saw. And then this ends with a compound curve. Next, I'm going to do a letter K that has an ascending stem loop as well. I'm going to introduce these to you as they gradually get more complex. The letter K. Then we have the letter F. And now with this version of the F I'm about to do, I finish the ascending stem loop. Actually, I go past the baseline into the descending space. So you can kind of consider this a stroke, I mean a letter that does have a descender, but primarily it is about this ascending stem loop. And then you finish off with an exit stroke. Another version of this F, which to me is a little bit overwhelming, but you can also go from your ascending stem loop into a descending stroke like this, and then now I'm just finishing off with full pressure. So then I kind of flip over and do the opposite, forming a loop on the other side of this shade. And this just becomes a very overwhelming stroke. So lately I've been tending to do this version here, but this is another variation that you can try. The next is the letter T. So now I'm going to introduce not necessarily a loop in the stroke, but just basically an extended underturn stroke. So see how I have my underturn that would normally start at the waistline, but instead I'm bringing it up to that first descending line and then creating my stroke there. Now we're going to combine those two strokes and essentially make a ascending stem loop that turns into an underturn. Now this will give us a basic letter L. And then if we repeat that, we can have our letter B. And I'm adding just a comma dot here. And then last but not least, for the ascenders, I'm going to do a letter D. And now you can either come up from the first ascending line, kind of like the letter T, or you can extend all the way up with an ascending stem loop. It just makes the letter look really elongated. I actually tend to go with this D here. It looks a little truncated, but essentially what's happening is if you make it too long, it looks really awkward. So you want to start this D at your first ascender, or basically in the middle of your ascending space. Okay, let's try to squeeze a couple of letters with descending strokes. So for starters, let's do the letter P. So for our letter P, I'm going to do a couple of variations. You can do an entrance stroke. We can use that full pressure stroke. And then just like in traditional copper plate, you can have a compound curve. If you're like me, you're probably thinking, what is that? It is definitely a funky looking letter, but trust me, it is gorgeous when it is in a full word. And then you can also use the same full pressure stroke and do a backwards oval. You can also do, kind of forgot my entrance stroke there. You can also get really modern and come out here. So at this point, I didn't finish that reverse oval. I just looped back out and gave it some style. And then of course, you can also do all of these strokes with a descending stem loop. I kind of had to guess where the next line would have gone. And then you can do that reverse oval, or you can do that modern take. Continuing on, let's do the letter Q. So you can either do an entrance stroke, an oval, and simply a full pressure stroke that stops at that first ascender, and then come out here with an exit stroke. Or you can do an oval here and then come all the way down and loop backwards. This might be a little bit more familiar to you. You can get really fun with it and loop around. So next, let's do some actual descending stem loops. Entrance stroke, descending stem loop gives us our basic letter J. And then adding on to that, if we add an oval in front of that, we get our letter G. Oops. So this is me not being able to use that full arm movement because something is in my way. I have like a file holder here. My fault for not having the clearest desk. So let's continue on with that descending stem loop. I'm going to actually start with a compound curve, descending stem loop, and this will be my letter Y. And last but not least, this doesn't have a descending stem loop, but it does descend down below into our space here. This is the letter Z. Because this last part of the stroke where I actually taper down here into a hairline at the baseline, and then I gradually add pressure coming back out into a thick stroke here. This whole second part to the stroke can be really long and overwhelming. So a little tip here is I stop right here in the middle of the shade. So I create this thin upstroke. I stop here in the middle of the shade, and then I lift my pen, and then I continue on as if I had never lifted my pen, and then finish up with a thin upstroke up to the waistline. So the reason I do that is to break it up somewhere in in the middle of this long stroke. And the best place to do that, sometimes you don't have this option, but a good place to do that is in the shade, so that that connection isn't really, it's not called out, so it looks a little bit smoother. And there you have it, letters with ascenders and descenders. I hope this video was helpful for you in breaking down those letters that have similar strokes so that you can focus your muscles and really hone in on those specific skills so that your writing just becomes more smoother and flows better, and you can just really see improvement. So if you really like this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave me a comment down below. Is this video helpful for you? Are you enjoying the whole series? I hope you are. And if you aren't already, be sure to hit subscribe and also tap that little bell so you'll get notifications when new videos post. I am posting videos for the rest of this month since it is YouTober, and I'm just trying to share more videos on brush calligraphy. So thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for day 18. We're already more than halfway into this whole challenge. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Bye. I said my name, my other name. Bringing you back. Did I say that right? So please leave me a comment. I already said that.